Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nityananda, Jaya Nityananda,
Good news. Less coughing. It's not gone, but it's significantly improved. Compliments of the time energy and some antibiotics. Has anyone ever told you that you have a nice voice? Yes? I'm another one. Yeah, very nice voice. Very nice. Krishna's mercy. There's two things I've been asked to announce, mainly tomorrow, but I'll start today. Those of you in the room probably already know, so I don't need to say this, but I'll be coming back again after being away for a week, back again, and the Vaishnava Etiquette Seminar, and not so many have signed up, so sign up, please. And that's so we know how many people to cook for, not like something else. How to be a proper servants. And as another is this coming Sunday will be a warm-up for Gaur Purnima, because right after Nityananda Trayodashi comes Gaur Purnima. So there's going to be an enthusiastic rah to distribute Chaitanya Charitamrita sets. And there's an idea that, to fulfill Prabhupada's instruction that every home should have Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. Of course, have them in your home means to read them. So those are two topics that are, again, come up tomorrow. And then there's another topic. You want to guess what the other topic is? Today is the appearance day of Lord Viraha. And did you know, you're going to find out if you didn't, there's not just one appearance of Viraha, but there's more than one appearance of Varaha. Canto 1 and Canto 3 describe Lord Varaha, who rescued earth from the bottom of the Garbhodak ocean, lifted in his tusks. And that was one. And there's two. There's Sweta Varaha and Rakta Varaha. So another Varaha, the earth fell out of its orbit because of Hiranyaksha, and he came and smashed Hiranyaksha and brought the earth back to its proper place. Two Varahas. You want to add to that number? Say yes. Yes. Brihat Bhagavatamrita describes 5. So it was simple, and all of a sudden, one who engages in transcendental loving service is elevated to the highest perfectional stage by the Lord himself, who is seated in everyone's heart. So continue to attend the Bhagavatam discussions. You're in good shape. Well, at least you're on the path. Now, there's different references. There's some from Brihat Bhagavatamrita. From up there? Okay, I won't ask. There are at least 5 Lord Varahas. First appeared from Brahma's nostril at the beginning of creation, lifted the earth, deposited her on the Garbha ocean, and then disappeared. Second, saved the earth from a partial flood of devastation, killed Hiranyaksha, and went to Swargaloka. The third, the embodiment of Vedic sacrifice, taught the methods of sacrifice, lifted the earth, spoke to her, earth, the Varaha Purana, and disappeared by his mystic power. That's 3. The fourth took the earth and made her even by grinding down the excessively large mountains with his sharp tusks. The earth then assumed the form of his consort Varahi, enjoyed with him, and gave birth to 2 sons. It was pretty simple. Now it's not so simple. That Lord Varaha finally disappeared by merging into the form of Lord Nrsimha. Ooh. And yet a 5th Varaha perpetually holds up the earth from below. Look closely at the painting. You can see Lord Chaitanya with his arms raised. And in the home, in the home of Murari Gupta, as is described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, he assumed the form of Varaha. It's a very nice description. Murari Gupta was a dear devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was a physician, and his home was very near Jagannath Mishra's home. So he was devoted to Lord Ramachandra and to Lord Chaitanya. And he knew of the divinity of Lord Chaitanya. And so he was eager always to have his darshan. So one time, Nimai, little boy, this is showing Lord Chaitanya with a shaved head, but he was a little boy. He went to his home, and there was a brass pot, like a brass or a clay pot, brass pot, I think. And Lord Nimai said, Shukra, Shukra, and means boar. And so Gupta didn't know what he was doing, but it was fine because he doesn't understand Nimai anyways. So Nimai then manifested this form of Lord Viraha, very large, right in his home, lifted this, looks like a clay pot, not a brass pot. That's as Lord Viraha performed the pastime of lifting the earth planet from the Garbhodak ocean. Of course, there's many references from Laghu Bhagavatamrita. So let's hear some. The boar avatar advented twice. First during Swayambhuva Manvantar from the nostril of Brahma in order to lift up the earth from the Rasatala region. And Baladev Vidyabhusan comments about the Rasatala region is in the lower region, and that's from the first canto. He was concerned, Brahma, anyway. So he what to do, and Lord Viraha appeared from his nostril and knew what to do. A second time, during the Chakshusha Manvantar, he appearing from the water. Second canto, then he killed Hiranyaksha. Now this is a different section, a little bit later. The Viraha of the Swayambhuva Manvantar is dark blue, not just red and white, Rakta and Shukla, but dark blue, and the other Viraha is white as the moon. Sometimes Viraha is a wild animal in the forest, and sometimes he is a domestic animal. Same section, part. It's chapter 3 of part 1. It is mentioned in the Vishnu Dharmotara that by the will of the Lord, there was a sudden deluge during the reign of Chakshusha Manu. We're going to hear shortly. At the end of each Manu, there's the universe is submerged in water at the end of each Manu. But this is during Chakshusha Manu. Viraha appeared at that time to lift the earth, which had become submerged, and also killed Hiranyaksha. Same section. Markandeya explains in the Vishnu Dharmotara that there is a devastation of water at the end of each Manu's reign. Baladev Vidyabhusan's commentary. At the end of every Manvantara, there is a flood of water, but though the earth becomes invisible, it does not totally sink. However, during these two, Swayambhuva and Chakshusha Manvantar, the earth sinks completely, and Ra appears to lift up the earth. Later, the same chapter 3, it is written that some avatars have abodes within the material universe. The words of Vishnu Dharmotara Purana are evidence for this. Here's one example. Varaha. This is the domestic boar, or a human form with a boar's head, is said to reside on Maharloka. Maharloka? Do you know where's Maharloka? You know the upper planetary systems? Bhuvar, Swargaloka, that's 3. And Mahar is just above. Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka. Top. Just above heaven, Maharloka. Eyeball. Just above Maharloka, just above Swarga is Maharloka. And Varaha lives there. This Lord Varaha is portrayed as half human, half boar in the Padma Purana and other texts. This abode of Lord Varaha measures 3 million yojanas. He's got a big place, like a big ranch or something. Another within the universe. The beautiful and self-effulgent realm, Varahaloka, touches the material universe as it stands beneath everything. Beneath everything means below the 7th Patala Loka. Down, 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 down. And the planet known as Kalingni, Kalagni, there we go, Rudra, a 4-legged Varaha. There, in the form of Sweta Varaha, the Supreme Lord resides. So you recall there was some statement, he holds up the universe. That's one of the 5. So that's where he is. Holding up the universe. Brihat Bhagavatamrita describes Varaha as the presiding deity of the earth's layer of the universal covering. So what does that mean? It means that there's a shell around the universe, layers of 7. And, according to each of the elements, and earth is one of the elements, so the presiding deity in that layer is Lord Varaha. Canto 5. This is the cosmic manifest, the structure of the cosmos. The Supreme Lord, in his boar incarnation, who accepts all sacrificial offerings, lives in the northern part of Jambudweep. What's Jambudweep? It's that circular island with 7 rings, waters in between each of the rings, Jambudweep. With Sumeru in the center, that's Jambudweep. There, in the tract of land known as Uttara Kuru Varsha, Mother Earth and all the other inhabitants worship him with unfailing devotional service. So it's a busy universe. We don't know what's going on in the universe. It's nice to know that we don't know. We're very small. Again, Brihat Bhagavatamrita, in Satya Yuga, Lord Varaha descended from Shokara Puri. Shokara is Shukra is the mean boar of Vaikuntha. There's a Vaikuntha planet where Lord Varaha resides, Shokarapuri, and for such purposes as lifting the earth from the lower regions. Lagu Bhagavatamrita, this is now chapter 4, different section. The cycle of kalpas Kalpa means a day of Brahma, right? I'm looking around. Say yes. Yes. Okay, good. The cycle of kalpas, beginning with Brahma Kalpa and ending with Padma Kalpa, is repeated 1,000 times. 1,000 yuga cycles in the day of Brahma. That was easy, right? The present kalpa is Svetavaraha Kalpa. If your head isn't already spinning, here we go some more. The first day of the month is called Sveta Kalpa. The present kalpa is the Varaha Kalpa, the first day of the month in the second half of Brahma's life. Sveta Varaha Kalpa. Baladevi Divusan. The Sveta Kalpa mentioned here is also known as Sveta Varaha Kalpa. So in the second half of Brahma's day, which is a little different than the way I've always thought. The way I thought is it's like 11 o'clock, not the second half of his day. But in any case, that's what it says. Tattva Sandarbha. Sveta Varaha Kalpa is the day of Brahma in which Lord Vishnu's incarnation as a boar had a white body. So now he has these three colors. One is this dark blue, another is red, another is white. The first day of the first Prarardha is called Brahmakalpa or Sveta Varahakalpa. At the beginning of Brahma's day, during Swayambhuva's reign, his two sons did not yet have offspring. One hears only of the birth of his sons and daughters. Thus, at that time, there were no Prachetas, Daksha, or Diti. Swayambhuva had a son named Uttanapada. In his line, the Prachetas appeared. Their son was Daksha. He had a daughter named Diti. Diti was married to Kashyapa and bore Hiranyaksha. That's like the history of Hiranyaksha and the earth falling from its orbit because he took the gold out for his brother Hiranyakashipu, who liked gold. Thus, since Hiranyaksha was born long after Swayambhuva Manvantar, the first Boar avatar who appeared during Swayambhuva's time could not have killed him. Therefore, it should be understood that when the first Boar avatar appeared, he simply lifted the earth from the ocean. I hope you're not confused. Again, we're going back to chapter 3 of Canto, or part 1 of Laghu Bhagavatamrita. It is mentioned in the Matsya Purana that there was a pralaya during Swayambhuva Manu's reign because of a curse of Agastya Rishi upon Swayambhuva. The earth became submerged and Varaha appeared. So we heard already Chakshusha Manu during, not after at the end, but during. So Lord Varaha appeared and rescued the earth. And those two times, Swayambhuva and Chakshusha, it actually didn't just like float or enter into the water, but it was submerged. And thus the need for the form of the Lord to appear. Okay, that's our Varaha topic. There's much more, but that's it for another time when it's not the day before Lord Nityananda's appearance day. So where did we end yesterday? We ended yesterday where for 20 years from the time he was 12, 12 plus 20 equals 32, right? Just checking with our scholars here. He was 32 years old before he met Lord Chaitanya. That means Lord Chaitanya was already 20. And he took sannyas when he was 24. So all of their pastimes together in Navadvip were during those 4 years. And then after that, Lord Chaitanya took sannyas, etc. So Lord Nityananda came to Navadvip. And I'm going to read something. You want to hear from Chaitanya Bhagavat? Starting with verse 115. I'm just going to read verses. Maybe it's a good idea if somebody else reads. I'll read. No one could recognize Nityananda, the origin of Ananta, as he roared loudly on seeing his previous birthplace. He remained always in the mood of a child, without displaying any other mood, as he sported in the dust of Vrindavan. In this way, Nityananda Prabhu resided in Vrindavan, while in Navadvip, Gaurachandra revealed himself. The Lord constantly engaged in Sankirtan in great happiness, yet he became unhappy on not seeing Nityananda. Nityananda understood that the Lord has manifested himself. He had waited in Vrindavan for this moment. On realizing this, he immediately came to Navadvip, where he stayed at the house of Nandanacharya. The house of Nandanacharya appears to be like a hiding place. Remember? With Advaitacharya. He was hiding, and the omniscient Lord Chaitanya knew, and he went and found. So, Nandanacharya. And it's very near to the house of Srivas. Very special place, Nandanacharya. Nandanacharya was a Mahabhagavata. He saw that the bodily effulgence of Nityananda was equal to the sun. Nityananda appeared as a great avaduta with a large body. He was always grave and most sober. He chanted the names of Krishna day and night. This was the abode of Lord Chaitanya, incomparable within the three worlds. Sometimes he roared loudly in his own ecstasy. He appeared greatly intoxicated, just like the incarnation of Balaram. His attractive face defeated the beauty of millions of moons, and his enchanting smile was the life and soul of the universe. The effulgence of his teeth defeated that of pearls, and his two broad, reddish eyes increased the beauty of his face. His two hands stretched down to his knees, and his chest was high. His two soft lotus feet were expert in movement. He spoke to everyone with great compassion. On hearing the words from his lotus mouth, one's bondage due to fruitive activities was destroyed. When Lord Nityananda arrived in Nadia, there were shouts of joy all over the world. Who can describe the glories of that Lord who broke the sannyas danda of Gaurachandra? We'll hear about that tomorrow. The entire universe is purified by chanting the names of He who delivered the fallen, the foolish, and the merchants. Nandanacharya welcomed Nityananda Prabhu, fed him, and kept him in his house. Anyone who hears about the arrival of Nityananda in Navadvip will certainly receive the wealth of love. That's like a little announcement to the readers. Keep listening, Prabhus. When Vishwambar understood that Nityananda had arrived, he became unlimitedly joyful at heart. On some pretext, the Lord had previously given the Vaishnavas some hint about Nityananda's arrival, yet none of them understood. Oh, brothers, here's the hint. Within 2 or 3 days, some great personality will come here. By providence, after worshipping Vishnu that same day, Gaurachandra soon met with all the Vaishnavas. The Lord told everyone, "Today, I've seen something wonderful in a dream. A chariot adorned by a flag marked with a palm tree." That's Balaram, right? Those of you that know Mahabharata, it's Balaram. And expert in bestowing the essence of life on all people, arrived at my doorstep. Within the chariot, I saw someone with a huge body. He held a post on his shoulder, and his movements were unsteady. In his left hand, he carried a water pot wrapped with cane. He was dressed in blue garments, and his head was decorated with a blue cloth. His left ear was decorated with charming earring. By his characteristics, I could understand that he was none other than Haladar. He repeatedly inquired 10 or 20 times, "Is this the house of Nimai Pandit?" He was dressed like an Avaduta and appeared to be most powerful. I've never seen such a personality before. I was filled with respect on seeing him and asked, "Which great personality are you?" He smiled and said, "I'm your brother. Tomorrow we will meet." I became most pleased by hearing his words, and I considered myself to be identical with him. While speaking in this way, the Lord lost his external consciousness and roared loudly in the mood of Haladar. The Lord repeatedly cried out, "Bring wine! Bring wine!" His cry was so loud that everyone's eardrums were almost broken. Srivas Pandit said, "Please hear me, O Gosai. The wine that you're demanding is available only with you. Only one whom you give it can have it." The devotees were trembling as they looked on from a distance. The Vaishnavas contemplated. There must be a reason for this. The reddish-eyed Lord recited poems and laughed as his body swayed back and forth like Sankarsana. After a while, the Lord returned to his normal state. Then the friends of Rama began to explain the meaning of the dream. So all that behavior was Nimai Pandit's behavior. It appears to me that some great personality has arrived here. I have already previously informed you that we will soon meet a great personality. Oh, Haridas! Oh, Srivas! Go immediately and see who has come. On the order of the Lord, the two Mahabhagavatas happily searched throughout Navadvip. While searching in this way, they confided in each other, "It seems that Lord Sankarshan has come." Overwhelmed in ecstasy, the two looked everywhere, but were unable to get any indication of where he was. They looked all over Nadia for 9 hours without finding anyone, and then returned to the Lord. The two informed the Lord, "We have not found anyone new. We have searched the residences of Vaishnava sannyasis, grahastas, and have even gone to the houses of the atheists. We have looked all over Navadvip, but we could not go outside Navadvip." Gaurasunder smiled as he heard their report. By this pastime, he revealed that Nityananda is most confidential. And what's the meaning? There's the meaning. Some persons sing the glories of Gaurachandra in this incarnation and run away when they hear the name of Nityananda. If one worships Govinda but does not respect Shiva, as a result of this sin, he will go to the abode of Yamaraj. In this incarnation, Lord Nityananda is most confidential. One can see him only when Lord Chaitanya reveals him. Devotees like Srivas certainly know the truth regarding Nityananda, but for some curious reason they could not find him. After a while, the Lord smiled and said, "Everyone come and see him with me." All the devotees happily went with the Lord while chanting Jaya Krishna. Sri Gaurasunder led all the devotees to the house of Nandanacharya. Sitting there was one great jewel-like personality. Everyone saw that his effulgence was like that of 1,000,000 suns. No one could understand his internal mood. He was absorbed in happiness from his meditation and continually smiled. Understanding his pure devotional mood, Vishwambar and the devotees offered him obeisances. Now, how can one represent all of this without reading from the Thakur's writings? Because he's such an eloquent writer. So when he came, the two lords embraced. And when they embraced, they were melted as if one entity. The age, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was 20, Nityananda was 32, and this is, the house of Nandanacharya. There's Vaishnavas observing their intimacy of love. And of course, Kirtan. And, they're eternal brothers, and so they're absorbed in the rapture of being again in each other's association. Others didn't understand, but he understood. So then the plan, or the order rather, was that he should be worshipped. So that's what they did. They're very near to the Ganges, so they got Ganges water, bathed him, and then new garments and garlands and this and that, and worship him because he's just arrived and he's being respected in this very unique way. And then Sankirtan. That's the way to have a proper festival end. There's a scene, this is from Nityananda Chaitamrita, where Nityananda is taken aback by seeing the opulent feature of Lord Chaitanya. It's not like Nityananda doesn't know, but it's a pastime where Lord Chaitanya is revealing his excellences, and the intimacy is reduced by his munificence. And when he sees Nityananda pulls back. How to understand this? But then the mood changes, and then Lord Nityananda manifests a forearm form also, and they enjoy their pastimes together like little children. Although they're not little children, 32 and 20. But that's the nature of the loving exchanges between the two lords. There's very nice discussion. Again, this is Nityananda Chaitanya, Chaitamrita. Chaitamrita. Nityananda Chaitamrita. Huh? Charitamrita. Nityananda Charitamrita. Yes. Thank you. The wife of Srivas was Malini, and one of the pastimes of Nityananda, a 32-year-old fellow, he wouldn't eat unless Malini fed him. She was happy, so she cooked for him, and then sat, and he would, mouthful by mouthful by mouthful. He would only eat when she put food in his mouth, and otherwise he didn't eat. She was happy, and he was more than happy. In these exchanges, you see there's a nice discussion that there's a crow sitting on the windowsill. The crow took advantage of their being occupied and her feeding him, and the crow flew from the windowsill, and with his beak he picked up a little cup that had ghee, and the ghee cup was to be used in her husband's, Srinivas, his worship of the deity. And she became very upset. Not he's going to punish her, but she had spoiled his deity worship, and so she started to cry. So Nityananda, previously only eating when she fed him, ordered the crow, "Come back here." And the crow came back, and he paid obeisances at the feet of Nityananda. In his beak, he brought the cup back. And Malini was like, wow, who is this person that I'm feeding? But he can command crows. There's a detail, I had to put it in writing because anyway, whenever Malini would see Nityananda, her milkless breasts, because she was elder, would become filled with milk, which Nityananda would then drink. So there's this amazing relationship between the two, the wife of Srivas Pandit and Nityananda. So together, this is a classic Bengali residence with, different items growing on the rooftops. It's like a field for growing different vegetables. I forget the vegetable that grows on rooftops. Pumpkin. Yeah. Yes? Where's Chintamani? Huh? She's doing deity worship. Okay. Maybe she's watching like you do when you do deity worship. She can send us a message. But I think it is pumpkin, and I've seen it in homes, in Bengal. It's very common. So, okay, it's a common little portrait. And then there's Lord Chaitanya, there's Advaita, there's the Panchatattva engaged in Sankirtan together, along with all the other devotees. And then another scene. Again, this is these are with Lord Chaitanya having hair, because this is before he accepted sannyas. So ecstatic kirtan every day, commonly done in the evening and through the streets of Navadvip, etc., 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 by the shores of the Ganges. And it became so ecstatic that at a certain point, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made a request of Nityananda. The request that he made of Nityananda was, you too, you and Haridas, please take up this assignment. Wherever you go, you instruct others. My command, it should be given to everyone. Go from house to house and beg all the residents, please chant Krishna's name, worship Krishna, and teach others to follow Krishna's instructions. Do not speak or cause anyone to speak anything other than this. Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Kara Krishna Sika. Chaitanya Bhagavat. He was very happy. And Haridas was happy for a while. But after a while, he became upset because Lord Nityananda was such an avaduta. He would sometimes go in the Ganges and splash water on the alligators and, and command them to chant. And he was a wild man. There's Haridas on the shore saying, come back. And eventually got to the point where he said, I don't want to be with you anymore. You're too wild. And then this wonderful pastime, you all know the wonderful pastime. He, particularly Nityananda, would consider the most unlikely person or persons and target them with the idea that when they would become Vaishnavas, the most degraded persons or cuckoo persons, when they became Vaishnavas, the glory of Lord Chaitanya would be spread far and wide. It was already well known. So he approached Jagai Madhai, and the long description of their debauchery and previously trained brahmanas, but by bad association they became bad. They left everything Brahminical and became murderers and plunderers and robbers and drunkards and womanizers and, really bad reputation people. And they were always in a drunken state whenever they would come. The markets would close down because who knows what these guys are going to do. Lord Nityananda went to seek them out. And he did. He said exactly what Lord Chaitanya said to say. Please chant the holy name and your life will become perfect. And they're in a drunken state. And one of the two, it's important, Madhai is the one that threw the clay pot and hit him in the head. And when he hit him in the head, it drew blood. No, a little detail. We know that spiritual forms don't have veins because they're spiritual forms. Material forms have veins and thus blood. But, it wasn't ketchup. It was a lila. It was a manifesting as if he had a body like everyone else. It's very similar. We heard yesterday about the umbilical cord. Anyway, as if a mortal, as if having a material body, blood on his head. Immediately, someone ran to Lord Chaitanya and said what happened. And Lord Chaitanya became extremely angry because he's the protector of his devotee. What to speak of Nityananda? So he came, as you see in the painting, with his right hand raised, the Sudarshan chakra, ready to chop these two. In the exchange in Chaitanya Bhagavat, it describes, of the two brothers, Madhai was so drunken, he picked up another clay pot, was ready to throw the second clay pot. didn't hit Nityananda again. And Jagai stopped him. So there's this discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Jagai. No, he should be protected, but this other fellow, I'm going to finish him. The dialogue between the two lords was Nityananda resisted, said, no, 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 no. In this incarnation, you come to deliver, not to kill the fallen. So please deliver him. Please deliver Madhai. And Jagai was already, seeing this scene. He became sober real fast. And Madhai is also, his life is on the line. So appealing to the merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda, who can invoke the merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya better than Nityananda? But Lord Chaitanya was still very angry. And so he insisted that you, Madhai, you go and fall at the feet of Lord Nityananda, beg his forgiveness, and if he grants his forgiveness, you can be forgiven. Otherwise, finished. Doesn't leave much choice. So he went. He was like quite okay with being rescued. So he fell at the feet of Lord Chaitanya, of Lord Nityananda. His brother Jagai is behind him. And then Lord Chaitanya said, he asked Nityananda, have you accepted his apology? And Lord Nityananda said, more than accepting his apology, I declare emphatically that if I have ever accumulated piety in any lifetime, I give it all to Madhai. He is relieved of any offense committed against me. Do not bewilder him. Bestow your mercy on your Madhai. Through the mercy of Lord Nityananda, one gets the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. That's the idea. And this being a classic display, even the greatest of offenders, physical assault on the body of a Vaishnava. What to speak of Lord Nityananda? Now, it's very similar. The mood is very similar. The details are different, but somewhat similar. The same kind of expression was stated by Maharaj Ambarish to Durvasa Muni. If I've engaged in any pious activities in my lifetime, I bestow it all upon Durvasa. Please, Sudarshan, give him your mercy. On the appeal of a Vaishnav, the Lord complied. So there's a profound, very dramatic, and very profound lesson about how to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, even if one is an offender, what to speak of anybody else. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, it says, Nityananda entered the body of Madhai, and Madhai became filled with all energies. To be reinstated, you all know the pastime, you should. They were given the service for your offense to the Vaishnavas, because Navadvip was filled with Vaishnavas. You should beg the forgiveness of all the Vaishnavas in Vrindavan, or in Navadvip. So they took that as an order. They built a Jagai Madhai Ghat, and to a Ghat meaning, some series of steps going down to the Ganga, and they stood on the other side, like Jagai Madhai, and offered their respects to all the Vaishnavas. Please forgive us for all of our offenses. They're truly repentant and transformed. Not just, they're off the hook, but a very special arrangement with the personality of Godhead. Now, a few more pastimes in this section when they have their meeting. In this particular painting, it shows the Mahaprakash Leela in the house of Srivas Pandit. The house means the courtyard, the expanded residential place of his multiple family residences, because they all live together in a large complex. So in the mandap, the place where the throne of Lord Vishnu was, because Srivas is a Vaishnava, Lord Chaitanya one evening during Kirtan became impelled and sat on the altar, sat on the throne of Vishnu, and said, "Worship me." And so they were all astonished, and they did. And chief amongst them, Nityananda, was very happy taking the lead of worshiping. Similar, they bathed him in fresh clothes and ornaments and garlands and so forth and so on, and arti paraphernalia, and they worshipped him. And Lord Nityananda was at the head of all of that. There's much more to that pastime. So on they went in the course of the Sankirtan pastimes performed in Navadvip. Then at a certain point in time, after 4 years, Lord Chaitanya informed Nityananda privately that he was planning to take sannyas. And that there was a reason why he was planning to take sannyas. And it's because his students couldn't understand him. He was teaching Sanskrit grammar, but the Sanskrit grammar now became names of Vishnu. And the students, they wanted the standard stuff. And they disrespected him. And they told him. So it's not good for them. I should leave this profession of being a grammar teacher and let me take sannyas. The details, he was just 24. And just this morning I heard Prabhupada saying his wife was 16 and his mother was a widow. And she had another son, but her son had also taken sannyas, and he just left. One of the opulences of the personality of Godhead. When he informed Lord Nityananda, he was very sad. But then there was a decision that Lord Chaitanya made that he wanted to inform a handful of people before he left his ashram to take sannyas. And one of those persons was Gauridas Pandit. Very nice story. Gauridas was a little elder, and Gauridas had a particular kind of relationship with Lord Chaitanya. When Lord Chaitanya informed Gauridas, he was in shock. And instead of crying or just being stunned, he told him, "You can't do this." Like the instruction, "You can't do this." Lord Chaitanya smiled, "Because I won't be able to see you. You take sannyas, you're gone. I won't be able to see you." So Lord Chaitanya made a solution. "Here's how you can see me. I'll manifest a form of the deity of myself and Nityananda, and you can worship them." Now, this is a detail, but we'll come to hear more about it tomorrow. Gauridas was the brother of the father of Nityananda's wives. We'll do it again. There are two brothers, Gauridas and Suryadas, brother and brother. Suryadas had two daughters. Those two daughters became the wives of Nityananda. So they lived in different places. Gauridas, there's a whole big explanation of this, how it happened. It wasn't like a family feud. It was just he had a particular desire. Gauridas had a particular desire. So he shifted to a place on the other side of the Ganga, Ambika Kalna. So to go to Ambika Kalna, you have to go by boat because it's on the other side of the Ganga. And Lord Chaitanya then manifested these deities. They're very tall, very powerful deities. So Lord Chaitanya said, when you see the deity, you'll see me. So I'm going to go now. He was told, no, you can't do it. Now he had a solution. So Gauridas said, wait a minute, as they're walking out the gate, if they're not different, then you stay. Let them go. Lord Chaitanya smiled, and he went to the altar and stood with his hands in the position of the deity, and the deity left the altar and started walking out the gate. He said, no, it's okay. The deities can stay and you can go, and back and forth a few times. And he understood there's no difference. So very special relationship with Gauridas Pandit. Gauridas Pandit, we'll hear more about him in relation to other devotees of descendants of the disciplic succession, actually. But here they are, the deities, with a nice, I guess you'd call it a crown, made of marigolds, and very tall, very stately, very impressive, worshiped nicely. So there he goes, in the dead of night, when his mother was asleep and his 16-year-old wife was asleep. He left. And when he left, he went to a place where there was a Mayavadi sannyasi who then gave him the sannyas diksha. And there's a reason behind it. One of the reasons behind it was that during this time, those in the order of sannyas were prominently Mayavadis. In the northern part of India, there were not the other kind, the Vaishnava kind of sannyas. So there's Madhu the barber, and he shaved his head. There's very elaborate description of everyone crying because he lost his hair. That's nice. I just had my head shaved. It was very nice. But my hair wasn't long. Not like Lord Chaitanya, long. So, crying and crying and crying in a big scene, and the Vaishnavas understood we're not going to see him again. The Keshava Bharati was the sannyas guru. The place was not far away, Katwa, and there was only a handful of persons that knew, because Lord Chaitanya was very careful to only inform a handful of people. Nityananda, Gadadhar, and Mukunda, and a few others. There's Madhu the barber, and there's the yagya, and there's Keshava Bharati giving him his mantra, and it's Ekadanda. This shows a Tridanda, but it was an Ekadanda. So he accepted sannyas. And with him, of course, was Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda understood the mood of Lord Chaitanya. And the Lord Chaitanya, after accepting sannyas, wanted to go to Vrindavan and be in the land of Krishna in Vrindavan. But by tricks, Nityananda redirected him. Instead of to go to Vrindavan, he sent him or directed him to the home of Advaita Acharya. There's a very nice set of teachings found in Chaitanya Bhagavat. After he accepted sannyas, he was already, a highly educated Brahmin and a teacher, but he gave spiritual teachings to the mass of the people, which was what he did for the rest of his life as a sannyasi. So in Shantipur, there's the two lords, Lord Chaitanya with his shaved head, Lord Nityananda, and Advaitacharya was very happy to have the two lords come to his home and take a meal. And then there's this very interesting pastime where Lord Nityananda was being a madman, and he took items from his plate and threw them on the floor. And Lord Advaitacharya said, "What are you doing? You're a madman. Don't throw the rice on the floor. You put it in your mouth." And looking at Advaitacharya, he did it deliberately again, threw it on the floor. And then some grains bounced from the floor and hit Advaitacharya in the leg. And he started dancing. I've been touched by the remnants of the food from Lord Nityananda. And Lord Chaitanya is watching these two madmen going at it. He's the sannyasi, right? And Advaitacharya is a senior Vaishnava, by far senior in age, and and such an important Vaishnava that Shantipur, Mother Sachi was invited to come see her son one last time after his accepting sannyas, and she appealed to her son, "Please don't go to Vrindavan. You know the pastime. If you go to Vrindavan, I may never see you again. If you go to Puri, Krishna's in Puri, go to Puri, because the devotees from Bengal go every year for Rath Yatra and stay for the rainy season. Then they'll get lured of you. So please go to Puri." And Lord Chaitanya spoke nicely. "I don't know what happened to me. I just became mad, but it's already done. So now what to do?" And "Yes, I'll go to Puri. You're my mother, so I'll follow your instruction for me." So on the way to Puri, he has this Eka Danda, and he gave the Danda to Lord Nityananda to carry while he went across the Ganga to visit a temple of Lord Shiva on the other side of the Ganga. And Lord Nityananda, being a madman, he started having a conversation with the Danda and scolding the Danda. "Oh, Danda, it's not proper that he whom I carry within my heart should carry you. Oh, Danda, do not try to become the Lord of my Lord. Do not engage Mahaprabhu in carrying you any more." So he broke the Danda in 3 pieces and threw it in the river. And in his madness, Lord Chaitanya came back after seeing this temple of Lord Shiva, and he asked for his Danda. Here's a statement from Chaitanya Bhagavat. In this incarnation, Gauranga never bestows danda or punishment on anyone. Therefore, this ekadanda, or one punishment, or single sannyas rod, doesn't look good in his hand. Thinking like this, Nitai broke the danda of Gaura and constantly distributing love of God in Kali Yuga. There is an ocean of bhakti rasa in the heart of Nityananda Prabhu. And Chaitanya, it should be Chaitanya Bhagavat. Nityananda Prabhu considered, "My Lord is automatically on the Paramahansa stage, therefore he does not need to carry the sannyas danda." So there's another painting. On the other side, there's this temple of Lord Shiva Kopiteshwara, and the river is a tributary of the Ganga, Bharginadi River, and he threw the danda in the river. And when he threw the danda in the river, Lord Chaitanya came back and scolded him. Lord Chaitanya said, I only have one possession, my danda, and you broke it. And Lord Nityananda said, if you think I've violated, then you can punish me however you like. He said, there's two choices. I don't want to travel with you anymore. So you'll go ahead and I'll come to Puri. I'll go to Jagannath temple later. Or you stay here, I'll go, you come later. And they said, no, you go first. And so they crossed. This is celebrated, for those that live in this area. It's a very, very, a bridge that has 33 arches, a Taranala bridge. I only broke a piece of bamboo. If you cannot forgive me, then punish me appropriately. So they're not far away. On the other side of the bridge, you can see the dome of the Jagannath temple. So that's where the parties separated. Lord Chaitanya went, and Nityananda and the others that were with him, they stayed. And then that's the circumstance when Lord Chaitanya entered the Jagannath temple alone, first time. So there's the Jagannath temple, and we're about to end. So this is, a recent photograph, but there's a lot of people in Puri. This isn't Radha Yatra time, it would be mobs and mobs, but still, regularly, a lot of people go to Jagannath temple. Later, when Nityananda came to the temple, having, Lord Chaitanya did what Lord Chaitanya did when he entered the temple. This is a painting indicating the love that Lord Nityananda had for Lord Chaitanya. When he saw the deity of Jagannath, he got up on the altar and embraced the deity of Jagannath. He's definitely a madman, unconventional madman. So that's the end. And part 3 tomorrow. It's a quarter of. Any comments or questions? Yes?
I have a question, and another question. You spoke of how Lord Nityananda's mercy is truly profound, especially when narrating the Jagai Madai pastime. And then he breaks the danda in 3 pieces, and the commentary was how he didn't want, in this incarnation, he didn't want Lord Chaitanya to punish others with the danda. My thoughts were going to how he prevented Jagai and Madai from being punished. And he also prevented Kal Krishna Das from being punished when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him and said, I want to have nothing to do with him. Then Lord Nityananda stepped in and said, okay, go to Navadvip and share the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in South India. And that gave him joy when he was in a complete state of despair. So in some cases he did that, in other cases he didn't. Like, for example, Chota Haridas, he didn't step in when Mahaprabhu was very strong and seemingly punished Chota Haridas. Anyway, as I'm thinking about these various pastimes, it's very mysterious, very profound, I imagine. If you have any comments on what I'm bringing up, I'd love to hear it.
The Lord moves in mysterious ways. For those of you that are not from a Christian background, that's a Christian phrase. The Lord moves in mysterious ways. So, in each circumstance, the purpose behind may not be understood, but the purpose behind is to elevate. And the purpose behind is to engage with a devotee in loving exchange. So the loving exchange may come in the form of chastisement, but it's a loving exchange in all circumstances. An upliftment and loving exchange. And that's, so I've learned, and it may not be understandable right away, but in some form or fashion, the inspiration, the churning of a loving exchange, where the Lord and his devotee are experiencing an exchange of loving dealings with one another. That's the essence. And then loving dealings are loving dealings. Loving dealings are not cruel or heartless or meaningless or mindless or wanton. It's loving. So our little pea brain can't understand the loving nature of different exchanges, but that's the purpose behind it. In general, the purpose behind the personality of Godhead appearing is for those reasons: protection and admonishing the demons, but then loving exchanges with the devotees.
I have to write this question down so that I could frame it in a way that I can express it. So we understand from the pastimes of Lord Nityananda as this ocean of mercy and unconventional, to say the least. Now, within the Sangha of Vaishnavas, we are many of us are in the Kanishta stages. Some are in Madhyama and perhaps few in Uttama. And then within the spectrum, again, very difficult to discern who's what. Some may display this mood of mercy, of accepting anyone and anything.
Well, wait a minute. I'd like you to pause on that statement for a moment. What are you talking about? Are you just like switch your discerning capacity off and it's all one? Sounds like it.
Well,
that's not advised.
Apparently, there might be people who have a larger bandwidth of what is accepted.
Okay.
Which might be quite a lot.
Okay.
Like willing to accept pretty much anything.
Well,
from my perspective, could be pretty much anything.
Okay.
But maybe the bandwidth is 90%, maybe not 100%.
Well,
so
I'm not comfortable with that either.
Okay. So
supposing somebody is ignorant, like super ignorant, they can't discriminate. Then you go up the scale of where the intelligence is more discerning, and they can see what's what. They may be accepting of all types of what's, but they can discern what's what. And then if one is an avaduta like Nityananda, then it doesn't make any. You can discern, but then you just do what you're going to do because you're an avaduta, spontaneous, whatever it is.
Correct. So that is my point here too, Maharaj.
Okay, let's hear it.
So again, there are some people who may be accepting a lot more, and then there are people who might be discerning, and and they discern to protect themselves. They discern to protect the people that they're interested with for, it could be any reason. The person who is accepting much more broadly could take objection to how the person who discerns operates.
Yeah.
And similarly, the person who
vice versa.
Who's discerning may say that, hey, objection to those who are taking, accepting more broadly. And so you're right, at the Uttama stage, if you take it to the extreme, Lord Nityananda, I mean, he is ocean of mercy, right? He doesn't, Jagai and Madai pastime.
Yes.
So we can very safely assume that most of us are not in Uttama stage.
That's right.
So that one parameter is taken away from that equation.
Okay, fine.
So how can we bring resolution to both these categories of folks who may be in Kanishtas, maybe in Madhyama,
whatever they may be?
Correct.
Yeah. So there's differences. It's respect differences. We're enjoined to be madhyamas, to become madhyamas, and with we had this discussion this morning.
Correct.
Were you hearing the class?
Yes.
Oh, did your wife get an answer to her question? Anyway, I got too busy today. I didn't look it up. So. While respecting differences, it doesn't mean that one also overlooks differences. They can't discriminate the differences. But so being accepting, supposing you don't object, and then, that there's a difference between, the persons that are more discerning and the persons that are more liberal or accepting. There's a line. For Vaishnavas, there's sin and there's offense. So there's some lines. And at least for us as Madhyamas, we're trained to be, we don't engage, we're instructed to not engage in offense. Like we had this whole discussion about the senior devotees. You heard that discussion. So the senior devotees we respect. And then you draw some lines somewhere. Depends on who you are and who they are. So there's it depends. But there's some lines that you don't cross. Like a really good example is Dhritarashtra. He didn't pull the trigger, but he knew about attempted murders. And he didn't like it, but he didn't say it. Because Duryodhana knew what his father really wanted. He wanted that he could become king, the emperor, but I can't because I'm blind. So my son can. So he remained silent. The passive agreeer to everything that Duryodhana, all the diabolical stuff that he did. And still, Yudhishthira respected him. The discerning, so knowing what's to be done, what's not to be done, and so that there is Vaishnava etiquette is an important part of our culture and often missing, frankly, because people have left culture behind and become immersed in the culture of no culture. I'm tempted to tell some stories, but I'm going to refrain. Somebody from a Sri Vaishnava tradition was in a position of their family making an investment in something for a home for the elderly that they knew consciously, they knew that there would be meat served in that place. And they were getting ready to go ahead. From from a Sri Vaishnava tradition. Like discerning people, right? And then what to speak of everything else that's all over the place? The liquor shops and smoke shops and meat shops and this and that. And what's going on? It's okay. It's just you slit the throat of the animal this way on this particular occasion, and it's okay. What? And that's people that are dharmic. What to speak of everybody else? They don't care. So and that's so. Here we are. We're discerning people. We're trained to be discerning. And we're in the midst of, awful standards of life. I mean, and your kids, and that's what they're growing up in. What to do? Don't have kids. How can you protect them from? Anyway, that's another topic actually than the topic you're bringing up. What exactly? Put a pin on what your topic is. The irritation.
So, without being judgmental of where the other person is, without saying that, oh, you're immature, and that is why you are either discerning or you are accepting because you don't know
what's
what. So, without being judgmental, how can both parties come to a resolution? Respectful resolution.
Well, respecting that there are differences. That's a simple answer. And if I'm not able, then I'm going to remain disrespectful on this side or that side. I'm going to judge this side or that side. You're too this, you're too liberal, you're too conservative. Like Republicans and Democrats. And at the end of the day, it's like they're both an illusion. Buddhas, from the language of Bhagavad Gita. Asses. So how do you by respect, and then by somehow or another, being by the power of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to bring people from the position of Buddha to exalted by living and by preaching, giving the teachings and living those teachings consistently. And collectively, it's an impact. And it's a big world with a lot of Buddhas, but this has an impact, and at least there's protection for not making offense by judging others, but uplifting others, and not in a condescending way, but in a servant of Lord Chaitanya way. That's the remedy. That's the recommendation I would have, anyways. Easier said than done, right? Someone else? Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
I get worried when they got these phones and you got your question on your phone.
Maharaj, how can we feel Nityananda's mercy on our day-to-day lives? Because sometimes we become too thankless or become too familiarized that we cannot feel his presence.
Well, it's a nice question, but it's not just like sometimes.
Yes, all the time.
We're dull. That's the starting point. We don't have transcendental feelings. Largely, have material feelings, and they rule over the transcendental feelings. So by good association, those that are living their life in alignment with Lord, I was thinking, I wasn't sure how to do this, but I was thinking of a particular phrase that if one at all wants the mercy of the six Goswamis and Lord Chaitanya, one needs the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, and without it, it's not going to happen. So it's not. There has to. It's come from a desire to come to the stage of who we really are, and come to the stage of a mature, real, palpable love for Radha Krishna. And Lord Nityananda is necessary to enter into that arena. So it's you can remind yourself or awaken yourself by. That's my answer.
Thank you, Maharaj.
But by association with those that have that sense, it's a comment is that, and it's a bona fide type of worship, and it's simplified type of worship. But Lord Nityananda is not on the altar. So then they compensate by our process of hearing, because he's also present by hearing. We're dull. And your question is a sharp question. So how do you get sharp when you're dull? By association with those that, by sound, to restore our covered consciousness. Remove the covering and restore the original. Next.
Guru Maharaj, Amara Mataji sent this question this morning, but it's related. So, Hare Guru Maharaj, thank you for giving your mercy through your regular classes, even though you're unwell. My question is, how does one develop the intelligence to discriminate properly and offer appropriate respect? And if one does not have that intelligence currently, should one be generally respectful to all, even if that includes the envious persons?
Well, it depends on what she means, or what one means by respect. That the respect goes to the spiritual platform, that's appropriate. The material platform is not appropriate. The answer is not appropriate. But to the spiritual platform, yes. So then, if one doesn't have the capacity to properly discriminate, how is one going to see on the spiritual platform? Likely not. Then it becomes a platitude. Just, words, but it doesn't have any impact. It doesn't have any consciousness behind it. Therefore, a starting point is live as far as possible, as any spiritual teaching teaches, live your life in the mode of goodness, in ways that living your life in the mode of goodness is instructed, and your capacity and your understanding of Scripture, and read Scripture so you can understand better what mode of goodness looks like, and then feels like, because you're living it. And then from that position, you can better discriminate. super soul is more likely to give intelligence to one who is in the mode of goodness, and it can receive it. And then little lights go on, and then you can see better when intelligence comes from super soul. So live your life in response to her question. Not that she's not doing that, or any one of us are not doing that, but move in that direction. In the social structure, brahmanas are to be respected because they give light and direction to the rest of society, as the head directs the rest of the body. So that Brahminical culture is most important, and then from the Brahminical culture moving further to Paradharma. So on this matter of respect, if I don't have the intelligence to know how to properly respect different persons, you don't whitewash it. Okay. Shri Radhika has something. You have something more? Okay, she's got a little microphone. Go ahead.
Couple questions, Gumaraj. One sentence that you read from Chaitanya Bhagavat said Lord Nityananda was always grave and most sober. And I found that quite bewildering.
Yeah, it's like a boomerang. You want an explanation of that? What do you?
Yes, please.
That's Vrindavan Das Thakur. Ask him. What was his intention behind writing that? Well, on the other hand, he describes his state of madness. So, one way of answering is the behavior might be a behavior of madness, but internally was grave and sober. It's one way. The deeper inside, he's not, silly. He's grave and sober. He knew what he was doing. He knew the purpose of life and was acting to fulfill it. You have something? But she's not done yet. You keep going.
Gumaraj,
That was a tease.
this understanding that Lord Chaitanya Nityananda
Procedure. Yes. The answer, to a direct answer, yes, there must have been some already existing. For example, where did Haridas Thakur get his inclination to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra born in a Muslim family? Where'd that come from? Some prior tendency. So one might wonder, what was that prior tendency? But prior tendency, because he wasn't in a group of other Vaishnavas that were uproariously engaged in kirtan. He did it in his own way. So, some prior experience. There's different explanations of who was Haridas Thakur in Krishna Lila and all of that. So a prior experience, and with that prior experience, a tendency and a Lila to be enacted by him. So under the direction of the internal potency, he enacted a Lila. He was a participant in the Lord's Lila. He played his role well.
Thank you so much, Gumaraj. Sorry. Thank you so much, Gumaraj. I think my question is similar. We always hear that through Lord Nityananda's mercy, we get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. But in that particular meeting, it's like, as you were describing, it's explained, Lord Chaitanya has to reveal to the devotees. Lord Nityananda is very confidential. They couldn't actually see him without Lord Gauranga's revelation of who Lord Nityananda is.
So you're making a statement. Thank you.
Yeah, based on that statement, I just would like to clarify my understanding, Guru Maharaj. When we are connecting to these different personalities, is it that how our heart is moved? One may be more inclined to Gaura Lila and one may be to Lord Nityananda.
Isn't it? It's like that's what you just said is what goes on. And then even within one person, sometimes more this and sometimes more that, and etc. One's mind may become absorbed in a particular pastime that's glorifying Lord Nityananda in a particular way, and then over time, something it shifts.
So it's not like a cookie cutter.
Yes. Yeah. Anyone else? How about our host? No? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.